Why is Elden Ring a masterpiece? In the background, what you are seeing is just some Elden Ring gameplay. In fact, I don't want to move around or show anything too much because I'm kind of in a boss area and I don't want to spoil the game for anybody. So you're just going to kind of get this as a background, if you will, while we kind of talk about why Elden Ring is a masterpiece. So many of you watching this video who have clicked on it probably already know about Elden Ring. It's kind of a game that blew up recently and kind of took the gaming world by storm, if you will. Uh, I've seen basically all the big YouTubers playing this, a bunch of big streamers playing this. I've seen videos on, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I've seen Elden Ring pretty much everywhere I've looked recently. And it's kind of a game that, like I said, took the gaming world by storm. Elden Ring is essentially huge at this current moment in time. I'm pretty sure many of you who, like I said, clicked on this video probably have seen other people play the game, talk about it as well. So for those of you who don't know what Elden Ring is, it's essentially the newest game in the Souls series, or I think you could more describe it as a game that was made by the same people who make Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. Those games are known as being exceptionally hard, challenging, and difficult. And Elden Ring is no different. It's hard, challenging, and difficult, and it's definitely not everybody's cup of tea. I've heard that there's a bunch of people upset with Elden Ring at this current moment in time, basically new players to the series, who kind of didn't know what they were getting themselves into when they decided to purchase Elden Ring. Elden Ring is ridiculously hard. It has tons of different mechanics. Your character building has to be near perfect or else you're gonna screw yourself over. The game really doesn't give you any direction. You have to go out and explore and pretty much find everything yourself. It's a very fun, challenging game that if you like games like the Souls series, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, Nioh, if you like those type of video games, you're probably gonna love Elden Ring. Now, Elden Ring, in my opinion, is definitely the best game that has come out in recent years. It is phenomenal. So, according to Wikipedia, Elden Ring is an action role-playing game developed by From Software and published by Bandai Namco Entertainment. The game was made in collaboration with fantasy novelist George R. R. Martin, who was the guy who wrote Game of Thrones, and it goes on to say who provided material for the game's setting. It was released for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series XS on February 25th, 2022. And like I said, this game is absolutely phenomenal. It has great storytelling, and part of that is probably due to somebody like George R. R. Martin coming in and lending material for the game settings. I mean, when you have a creative person like that, it's really hard to fail story-wise or setting-wise, if you will. Now, I'm not going to talk about anything too in-depth in this video, as it's a fairly new game, and I would hate to spoil it for anybody who's watching at this current moment in time, who's debating whether or not to buy the game. In fact, I really never put spoilers in my videos, that way everybody has the ability to watch them without essentially ruining the game's experience for themselves. So let's talk about what I love about Elden Ring. One, the soundtrack. The soundtrack in the game, depending on what boss you're fighting, is going to be different. The soundtrack is absolutely fantastic. I love the sound of the game, and the graphics are pretty good, as you could tell by the video in the background. Obviously, we're not moving around too much as to not spoil anything. There's a little something in the background, but you have to be really, it's a surprise, if you will, still. So I'm not trying to spoil anything too much. There's a little something in the background, if you will. The game has a good soundtrack. It's visually stunning, even on medium graphic settings, which I'm playing on now. If I had a more powerful PC, I'd be able to play on high and stuff like that and probably be really fucking good. The story itself is phenomenal. I'm really enticed by it, and it's very interesting. It's really hard to describe a story when you can't give spoilers to it. Just know that the story is really solid. I know there have been a lot of games that have come out recently with a weak story, like Dying Light 2, where, the gameplay is good itself and the mechanics are good, but then the story is kind of lackluster. In Elden Ring, the story is great. Probably one of the greatest stories to a game that I've ever played. There's a lot of different cutscenes that tell stories, and it's really nice. The bosses in this game are very challenging, and usually after you beat a boss, you get a little cutscene. I kind of think of it as a reward for beating the boss, and you get to see the story unfold with each step you take throughout the world, which is pretty damn awesome. The second thing I love about Elden Ring, or another thing I love about Elden Ring, is the open world. The open world is ridiculously huge, and I'm going to show you the map, and if you don't want to see the map, just close your eyes for a few seconds and I'll tell you when the map's no longer on the screen. So 3, 2, 1, we're going to look at the map, and this is the map of Elden Ring, right here. This area here, which I've spent like the last essentially week exploring every single nook and cranny, fighting every single boss in this area. I really haven't done any of the main story, but this whole section up here is also map. So it's a pretty big freaking game. And not to mention, if you look underneath, there's certain areas that like are underground, and a lot of it I haven't even discovered yet. And like I said, I've put about a week into the game, and I've been exploring every nook and cranny. I've almost been playing 12 hours a day, basically. And I still have barely scratched the surface of this game. So if you're looking for an open world with a lot to do, if you're somebody who enjoys exploration and open world games, if you're somebody who likes to search everything in open world games and you like to find stuff out for yourself, Elden Ring is definitely great when it comes to open world wise. So I really don't know how to summarize, I guess you could say, the gameplay. But the gameplay, like I said, it's a challenging game. It's not for everybody. It's not for the faint of heart. You're gonna die 50 times trying to fight a boss until you get lucky and you find a strategy that works. It's a wild game. Like, it really truly is. And to kind of explain it is very difficult. But that's because the game itself is difficult. I really don't know what to say without spoiling anything, if you will. Just know that the game's very challenging and very tough. And it's not for the faint of heart, people who get easily upset. If you're looking for a game that's just like a simple story that flows really easy, and you're kind of just looking to relax and have a I don't want to say have a good time, because you do have a good time with games like this if you're somebody who enjoys games like this. But if you're someone who's just like looking for like an easy, relaxing story, this is not the game. This is a very difficult game to play, a very difficult game to progress in, but the story, like I said, is great. So on the Wikipedia, it says gameplay elements including fights, looting, horseback riding, interacting with NPCs, and maintaining the character's stats through leveling up, enchanting equipment and weapons, and learning spells. Keep in mind, you could also improve your equipment, like your weapons. You can't improve spells or armor or anything like that, but you can find different armor sets throughout the game, different weapons throughout the game that are really good, and stuff like that. Keep in mind, the leveling is very complicated, the inventory system is somewhat complicated. The game is definitely not self-explanatory, and often you're going to find yourself looking to YouTube and forums and articles to try to help you progress throughout the game. It's not like most games where it tells you exactly what everything does. You often have to figure it out for yourself. Why is Elden Ring a masterpiece? A fantastic open world, an incredible story, good graphics, good music. It's pretty much everything you could want from a video game. Something interesting that I read on the Wikipedia is that the game's development lasted approximately 6 years. Upon release, Elden Ring received critical acclaim, becoming one of the highest reviewed games of all time. It received praise for its open world and gameplay, which was considered an improvement to the Souls formula. And like I said, the Souls games are like Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, and they're all famous for being extremely challenging and not easy to complete. They're fun in their own way. When you're getting killed by the same boss 40 times, it's not very fun. It's very frustrating. But once you kill that boss, the way you feel is absolutely phenomenal. Like, it's undescribable experience. Like, it feels so good to achieve something after you've been trying at it for so long. So yeah, Elden Ring is a masterpiece because it has focused on stuff that a lot of video games haven't recently. They took time developing this game, 6 years, making sure that it was a great product upon release. And it was a great product upon release. It's a phenomenal game. The mechanics are good, the gameplay is good, story's good, big open world, lots of different classes to build. You could be a mage, which I am. You could, use incantations. You could use bow and arrows. You could use swords. You could use big, heavy, great swords. You could use all kinds of stuff in Elden Ring. It's a phenomenal game. And I really don't know how to make this video without spoiling said game for everybody. But I hope I did a good enough job in explaining why Elden Ring is essentially a masterpiece. It's hard to find a good game nowadays, in my opinion. A lot of games want to focus on, moving towards an online as a service type thing where they want to provide a bunch of microtransactions and, they want to make money that way. A lot of battle royale type games are out, really popular. And there's not a lot of developers out there who are still developing solid single player story games. But From Software, Bandai Namco, George R. R. Martin, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, Hidetaka Miyazaki. I don't know how to pronounce that. I apologize, but I'll put a little thing on screen of his name. But yeah, like when you have people who are genuinely concerned with how good the story is, how good the gameplay mechanics are, who are genuinely want to create a good, fun, open world for players rather than focus on, an online as a service type game like we see a lot nowadays, you get a good quality product. And it's really hard, like I said, to come along great games nowadays. Very few games live up to the hype that's created around them, and Elden Ring did. In fact, Elden Ring surpassed pretty much everybody's expectation. It's wild how good the game is. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, please be sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe, as it really does help the channel grow. I apologize if I repeated myself. I didn't write a script for this video. I apologize if it seems a little unpolished. It's been a while since I've made a video like this, and I kind of want to talk about stuff every now and then when, it comes to gaming. I'm still working on my Elden Ring gameplay series. I'm trying to edit up, make sure it's good quality. I don't really want to produce, like 28 minutes of gameplay where it's just me riding around on my horse for 14 minutes. There's 10 minutes of actual gameplay. I want to produce some solid stuff. So I'm working hard and I'm working on it. Just know it. I'm just trying to actually beat the game, because I probably still have hundreds of more hours to put into the game before I actually beat it to 100% completion like I like to do with open world games. Anyways, guys, love you all. Hope to see you back here in the next one. But until then, remember to stay awesome. Peace out and have a good one. Bye-bye.